Hey, stepmamas, welcome to the Stepmom Unfiltered podcast. This is your go to space for unapologetic, unfiltered conversations about the roller coaster ride of stepmotherhood. We're your hosts. I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Amelia. We understand that being a stepmom is like walking a tightrope in stilettos. So we're here to help you embrace the messiness, laugh through the craziness, and find strength in our shared experiences.
This podcast is more than just a series of episodes, it's a community for stepmoms to be real, raw, and unfiltered. Buckle up because we're about to embark on a journey of candid conversations, taboo topics, and expert insights.
This is the Stepmom Unfiltered podcast, your sanctuary for real talk and real solutions.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Stepmom Unfiltered podcast. And happy 4th of July for all of those listeners in the States. I know it's different for Canada, but we have to
Happy
we have to
Canada
say,
Day for a few days ago for the Canadians.
there we go.
Yeah.
How are you, Amelia?
Oh, well, life's a bit of a shit show around here sometimes, but we're getting through it.
Yeah, that does happen. I know, I
Yeah,
get that. It ebbs and flows, right? It's
it ebbs
never,
and flows. There's a couple curveballs sometimes. But yeah, we're just going with the flow, getting through every day. So
all we can do, one day at a
that's all we
time.
can do. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you?
Well, I always default to saying I'm good. And I think that's what prompted us to kind of have a chat on the side of like, we don't have to default to that. We can be real and honest and say
Yeah.
that, yeah, it's been a rocky few days, few weeks, and we just keep going one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. One foot in front of the other. I think I would say the difference though between me now and me, I don't know, 6 years ago is me then would have been completely consumed by all the things all the time. And me now is able to like identify what's going on and work through it and put it in its place and then move on to the next shitty thing that's happening.
Yeah. I love
You
that.
know, um, yeah, whereas before I didn't know how to deal with anything, but in a
Yeah.
good way.
Yeah, that's real. I think that's partly why like I default to whenever somebody asks how I am, I'm always like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm great."
Yeah, I think everybody does that.
Yeah, but it's like I went from everything being a shit show all the time
Yeah.
to learning how to deal with it, identify it, work through it. And so
Hmm.
now I have that perspective of, yeah, life's not really that bad. So I'm going to appreciate what I have. But then I don't want to swing so far the other side of the spectrum where it's like, I'm always good. I always have a smile on, but I don't show the real me. So I think
Yeah.
it is good to be honest that, yeah, hey, the last few days have been a little rough, but here we are and we'll
Yeah,
get through
here
it.
we are. Yeah, and that's the other thing, knowing that like we have the tools in our tool belt to get through it, so it makes it a little more bearable. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Love that.
Sometimes though, I find my coaching brain come out like with myself. We had to go buy a new washer and dryer very unexpectedly, so like didn't really want to spend the money on those things. And I was super bummed to have to go and buy
Yeah.
them. I just did not want to do that. I'd love to spend that money elsewhere. And
Did Coach Amelia pop in your brain and
Coach
talk you through
Amelia,
that?
yeah, on the way home, as we're driving home, I literally said to my husband, I need to stop being so upset about this because, I should feel thankful that we have the ability to buy these and we can do our laundry at home.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like finding the silver lining. Like, even though I didn't want to spend those thousands of dollars, we have the ability to do that. And
Yeah.
I laughed at myself because I'm like, well, there's, Coach Amelia coming out trying to
Yeah.
find the positive,
And
in
that's
the,
where I think it's about the balance, right? It's
yeah.
okay to feel the feels and sit in those
Mhm.
emotions and be upset and life not be hunky dory.
Yeah.
And it's okay to then give yourself the pep talk, put your big girl panties on and be like, okay,
Right.
and
And
here's the bright side to
mhm,
it. Here's the lemonade out of
right.
the lemons, and we're gonna keep marching forward.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Well, and that
uh,
feeds right into today's conversation, which is stepmom self talk and the narratives we tell ourselves.
Yeah, I think this is one, I know stepmoms that I've worked with have talked to me about different variations of this over the years, but one that pops into my mind most because it's brought up the most is, when someone has a belief, let's say that their stepchild doesn't like them, right? Like that comes up a lot. And so for me and all the learning that I've been doing and all of the things over the years and even recently, listening to other podcasts, learning that your beliefs do affect your actions, right? And when you have a belief about anything, whatever it is, your subconscious mind starts to look for proof of what you believe in, right? So I believe my stepchild doesn't like me. And well, now it's movie night, and my stepchild just went and sat on the couch beside their dad.
Yeah.
Or, we were out on a walk, and my stepchild, walked off in front of me, or was only talking to their dad, or, whatever the case may be. And so
Right.
then here I am, I have this belief, and now my mind, I'm searching for proof of it, which
Right.
I'm finding in these small little actions, but those aren't necessarily why my stepchild is doing that, right?
Right.
My
Right.
stepchild may have curled on the couch beside their dad because they haven't seen them in a few days and they miss them and they want to sit beside them, right?
Right.
Or
Yep.
or maybe that's where there's a better view of the TV. Like
It could be that simple and
right?
completely unrelated.
Or maybe that's who has the popcorn.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there could be a whole bunch of other reasons why your stepchild sat where they sat or walked where they walked or whatever.
Yep.
Um, so I think it's important to recognize your beliefs as a stepmom,
Yep.
whatever those may be.
Well, and I think it starts with identifying your beliefs, right? I mean, how many
Mhm.
people really, if we could see everybody listening and we took a poll by raise of hand, how many people have stopped and really thought about like, what are my beliefs?
Right.
And then looked at how are those impacting my thought processes? Because the reality is our brains are wired to fill in the blanks. So if you
Mhm.
only have part of a story or you only have certain information, your brain will go fill in blanks based on those beliefs that you have, whether they're conscious or subconscious, and
Right.
create a narrative, whether it's accurate or not. And then that's what you tell yourself over and over. So that's what you start to believe. And
Right.
that
And
that can be
that's
dangerous.
well, it can. And when you look at like the Disney narrative of the stepmom, like every stepmom in every Disney movie I watched, is evil and making their child scrub the floors and, poisoning them with apples and whatever. Um, you know, but
Yeah.
but it's true though. We see that from when we were kids onward, like, oh, these evil women, how terrible. And then
Right.
you grow up to be one of these people and you're automatically like, oh, like I'm already viewed as awful. I don't feel great because I'm not connecting with my stepchild. The ex hates me. I'm always fighting with my partner. Like, yep, you're right. I must be the evil stepmother. And then every time something goes wrong, you revert back to that, right?
Right.
Yep,
Right.
that's what it is. I'm just the evil stepmom. Like I actually am terrible. I was guilty of that
Right.
for many years. Every time something went wrong, I just reverted back to like I'm a terrible person. I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
Well, and then when you go to that place, you start actually contributing to being a part of the problem versus a part of
right.
the solution, which then just
Yeah,
amplifies the problem to a whole nother level and is quite the
absolutely.
opposite of what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So,
But when you're not conscious of your subconscious,
yeah,
it like you don't know what you don't know, right?
that's right.
And I think that's why we want to have this conversation, like help you to identify what are your beliefs. Even for people that, clients that we have that say like, well, I'm not a stepchild. I don't know any, like nobody in my family is divorced. Like I wasn't raised around those dynamics. Like I don't know. Okay. So what is your belief around step families? Like what does that mean to you? Because again, you might have this certain
Right.
belief about what that looks like and all the things. So I really honing in on on that is important. It's another step forward to being a happier, more empowered stepmom.
Right. Well, and I think it's also important, and this is the hard part, right? This is where we say it's hard work. You have to dig deep because if you ask yourself, what is your belief about step families? And you answer it. Ask yourself that again and then answer it
Mhm.
again. And then ask yourself that again and do this like 3 or 5 times and get more granular in your answers and really think through it because you're going to come up with more and more if you keep asking yourself versus just taking your first response, which is probably going to be very surface level. And
Right.
it's the same trick to get out of these situations and to stop your brain from creating a narrative and filling in blanks on its own. If your stepdaughter goes and sits on the couch by dad instead of sitting by you, ask her. Ask yourself first, what are the facts?
Right.
Okay. Why is she sitting by dad? Well, I don't actually know. Well, I
Or
don't know because it could be one of a million things and I'm not inside her head.
right.
So maybe have a conversation down the road like, hey, I would love to hang out and watch a movie together.
Right.
And I would love to sit with you and enjoy this time, or I would love to go do X with you, or take this walk, or whatever it
Right.
is that has you bothered
Mhm.
or that has you concerned. Um, it's
Yeah, I
amazing.
mean, kids aren't always the most like these can be uncomfortable situations for kids, right? So like
Right.
maybe they went and sat with dad because like maybe they don't know how they're even supposed to be. Like maybe they're still learning,
Right.
right? And so we have to give them grace. We don't, automatically jumping to these conclusions is not a great form of exercise.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like
Yeah,
that should be a meme.
it really should. Actually, we did make it into a meme. I posted it
Oh,
on our Instagram a
there we
while
go.
ago. Yeah,
We'll bring that
um,
back to the top.
we will. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
No,
Uh,
I do. I think it's so important. And even, like I just talked about, asking yourself, like, what does it mean when I struggle in my role as a stepmom or as a partner?
right.
What does that mean about me? And this goes back to like not just a stepmom, but like your own family
Mhm.
history and things that you've been through. Like, what are your beliefs,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Well, and I was just
Because
going to say, I mean, really everything we're talking about applies to everything, right? I mean, as
yeah,
a
this isn't
mom,
a
you have
step
moments,
family.
right? You have
Yeah,
moments where you're like, my kid hates me. What have I done
right.
wrong? Or am I raising them right? Or all these
Yeah.
things. And it's like, well, let's go back to the facts. The facts
Mhm.
are the only thing we should be looking at. And if we're unsure of the facts, we should ask questions and have conversations and sure, your kids might look at you funny a time or two, but ultimately you're developing stronger, healthier relationships.
Yeah, I actually funny you say that because I did that today to myself. My daughter walked in the kitchen and was like not happy to see me. She wasn't smiling and doing cartwheels, and I couldn't understand why she didn't have a smile on her face when she saw me. And I instantly went to, in my brain, I went to, well, what is her problem? Why is she so mad at me?
Yeah.
And seconds later, I said to myself, well, you don't know that she's mad at you. All you know is that she's standing there and looks thoroughly disgusted, but you don't know why. So
Yeah.
why don't you ask her? Which then I vocalized, hey, is everything okay? And everything was not okay, which is why she looked that way. Um, but just goes to show that,
Right.
yeah, like everyone can use this technique. And that is why it's important because had I not done that little step of, "Oh, wait a minute, this is what I know," right? Um, I would have
Yeah.
maybe come at her a little bit differently and been like, "Well, what's your problem?"
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Which probably
Um,
won't land so well when she's already upset and bothered
right.
and whatever else is going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it also works with kids, right? I mean, maybe they're having an issue at school with, their
Yeah.
friend, and you're like, they come home upset. Well, Johnny hates me. Well, why does Johnny hate you? He just does. I mean, kids answer these things very funny. And so,
Yes.
but yet it's the same things we carry into adulthood. And
Mhm.
our brains work the same way. They might be more mature and more developed, but at the end of the day, like you said, in an instant, after all this training and all this experience and all this deep work on yourself to heal, you still instantly went to that place that she was upset with you because she wasn't smiling at you.
Yes.
So we have to consistently work on it over and over every day.
And I think that's an important message for people to hear is like, we're not here to tell you that, like, listen to this podcast or read the blogs or visit our Instagram or take our course or read our book and we're going to fix all your problems and everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows and lollipops for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
No, but we can give you tools so that you can do things like what I just did today, right?
Yeah.
And a lot more, but
And I think that's just it, right? It's about having the tools and then practicing using the tools over and over and over. I mean, you and I still have these conversations with ourselves and with each other, and we still dig into the toolbox this many years in. And we're talking, I mean, decades collectively. So
yeah, and so it's just important to know that, like, yeah, this isn't to say that all of your troubles will go away. We will solve all your troubles. Like, we're not genies.
no,
But we
no,
can give you the tools that we know work. We both can vouch that they do, right? We
yeah,
use them all the time. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. One of those tools is the Sovereign Stepmom Strategies for Building Confidence and Inner Peace, which is a newly launched course that you can find on our website, theartofblendedchaos.com. We'd also love to hear from all of you and what are some of the limiting beliefs that you're holding on to and how are they impacting you in your step parenting journey? So shoot us a DM on Instagram at the Art of Blended Chaos and we'll chat with you next week.
A quick disclaimer to cover our asses. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on today's episode are the speaker's own. So if you didn't like them, why didn't you turn this off sooner?
The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. If you need support with a specific topic, you can do so by booking a one-on-one coaching call through our website, theartofblendedchaos.com. This podcast is not intended to replace professional, legal, or medical advice. You seriously didn't think we were lawyers or doctors, did you?